Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today is another good day in the land of Spurs. We've got some good news. We've signed Cristian Romero. I thought that one was going to drag on, and it turns out we managed to get the deal over the line quicker than I expected, which is fantastic. And that's mainly because Atalanta managed to sort out a centre-back coming in their way as well. So that's Demiral that they've gone for. So that enabled us to get the deal over the line after we pushed the fee up to meet what they were expecting financially, which is great. On top of that, Michael Dawson is back at the club, obviously not in a playing role. Had a very, very good spell with us, a great part of his career, probably his best performances came in a Spurs shirt. Was a fantastic defender next to Ledley King, a great partnership there. And they're back together. The boys are back together, so the two of them are ambassadors for the club. And you know what? It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I do wonder if he's going to do his coaching batches or anything at some point as well. I don't know if he's already started them or whatnot. I'll have to have a look into that. So we'll talk about Romero. So completed the medical, everything fine there. So I'll just talk about what Spurs have said. So we announced the signing of Cristian Romero from Atalanta. He will wear the number 4. That will be his shirt number for the season. So he's 23 years old. He was named the best defender in Serie A last season, and his performances helped Atalanta to a successive third-place league finish. I mean, Atalanta have really come on leaps and bounds in their time. He had a brilliant summer as well, as we know, in the Argentina squad, including teammate Giovanni Lo Celso. They won the Copa America in July. Cristian made 3 appearances in the tournament, including a start in the final against Brazil, keeping a clean sheet. And that ended Argentina's 27-year wait for a major title. That is a long, long time. Considering some of the players they've had over the years, you might have expected that they would have had some sort of silverware by now. Obviously, Brazil have dominated, but there's been many other teams around them that have picked up trophies along the way. So it's a massive shock that Argentina have gone 27 years without anything. A little bit about Romero's background. He was born in Cordoba. He began his career at Belgrano in the Argentina Primera Division, making his debut in 2016. He joined Genoa in Serie A in 2018 and then Juventus a year later. He was actually brought there by Fabio Paratici. Juventus loaned him back to Genoa for the 2019-2020 season, and then he was loaned out again at the start of last season, obviously to Atalanta. He made 42 appearances for the Bergamo club in 2020-21, alongside our fellow arrival, which is that goalkeeper, Pierluigi Gollini, who, might I add, against Chelsea, I know he conceded 2 goals, but had a brilliant performance, made some great saves, was communicating a lot with the back line. Really good to see. He looks like he's going to be a good signing for the future. If he does make those appearances, or we're impressed with him and take him on for the future, he looks like he could really do well at Spurs and fit in. His character seems to be the right one. But back to Romero. Yeah, so he was there with Gollini. He had 7 appearances in the Champions League, helping them to a 3rd place in Serie A and to the final of the Coppa Italia. He represented Argentina at under 20 level. He made his senior debut in a World Cup qualifier against Chile on the 3rd of June 2021, and has gone on to collect 5 caps in total. He scored 130 seconds into his 2nd appearance against Colombia on the 8th of June. So, welcome Cristian Romero. Exciting times, exciting times. The next one that we will talk about then is obviously Michael Dawson, and the fact that he's back at the club. Where was that? Oh yeah, just to mention actually, whilst I'm looking for that, the women's team have been on a bit of a signing rampage. We let quite a few players go over the summer, but we're signing people constantly. Somebody just left, I think, Asmita Ale. She signed to us from Aston Villa. We've signed Kia Simon or Simon, however you pronounce it. And also, there's been an Olympic gold for Shalina, Canadian international, very talented player. She's got gold while she's been away. Shalina Zadorsky, very, very, very talented player. If you haven't watched any of the women's games, they're definitely worth a watch. Our ladies are on the rise, and that's because there's been major investment into there with the coaching, players. Also, back to Romero, he's obviously had his first training session with the club now. There are photos up in the Spurs gallery on the website, so you can watch him get to work at Hotspur Way. He's done his first interview for the club as well. Obviously not in English, but there is a translation for you. So yeah, now on to Michael Dawson. So Michael Dawson, we're delighted to announce him as a new club ambassador following his decision to retire from playing. He joined us from Nottingham Forest in January 2005, I believe. He was 21 at the time. He established himself pretty quickly in the heart of our defence. He made 324 appearances for us in all competitions, including 236 in the Premier League. And he was captain of the club during the 2012-13 season and the 2013-14 seasons. During his time, the very affordable Yorkshireman was a hugely popular figure amongst the fans and in the dressing room. I mean, I absolutely loved him. And I actually felt at one point for England, he should have been called up earlier. I know he was called up a couple of times, but him and, who was it, Ryan Shawcross, they both had an incredible season in the Premier League, and both of them were overlooked for England in the starting berth. Shawcross wasn't even called up for the squad, which I thought was a bit ridiculous, but didn't get the credit that he deserved, considering he spent a long time of his Spurs career having to partner different people because of Ledley King's injuries. We know that he had an absolutely massive hammer of a foot to ping the long balls. We seem to be able to get centre-backs constantly that have those long ball things, don't we? We've had him, then obviously Toby. We get quite lucky in that area. So his highlights, his first ever goal for the club was in a London derby victory over the Chelsea boys at the Lane, November 2006, helping the club qualify for the UEFA Champions League for the first time and subsequently captaining the side in one of those famous nights in the competition, which was a 1-0 win over AC Milan at the San Siro. He was also capped 4 times for England, being called up to the three-line squad for the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. So he left us in 2014 for Hull City, where he helped them earn promotion back to the Premier League before finishing his career back at Forest, amassing well over 500 career appearances in the process. Alongside that, he's been doing a lot of media work even during his final season. You know, he had a few injuries, so he was getting into the media work, done very well on that. A very likeable guy. He's now returned to the club that he calls home, joining our team of legendary ambassadors, including his former partner, Ledley King, as well as Gary Mabbott and Ozzy Ardiles. That's a hell of an ambassadorial team, isn't it? So he's 37 years old now. It will see him support work of the club, the foundation and charitable partners within our local communities. And there'll be a regular presence across the club digital channels, which we've been quite good with anyway. There's a lot of old Spurs players you see pop up. Paul Robinson is quite popular. Tom Huddleston, Timu Tainho, we saw quite a lot of during lockdown as well. So, he visited the stadium for only the second time. And this was with Ledley, and he said, "Spurs will always be home to me. I enjoyed the most memorable moments of my career here, and the special connection I have with the club and its fans has never left me. I now return here during what is such an exciting time for us. This new stadium just blows me away every time I visit, and it sums up the direction the club is going in. Although it is impossible to replace the feeling of playing, I'm so excited to begin this new chapter of my career back at Spurs and be part of this new era. I've always looked up to Ledley from the minute I first joined and saw him play, so to be named an ambassador alongside him and legendary Spurs names in Gary and Ozzy is a huge honour. I look forward to getting started in my new role and meeting as many fans as possible over the coming months. His first ambassadorial appearance will be at Sunday's doubleheader against Arsenal. So as I mentioned before, we've got the men followed by the ladies straight after. So if you've got tickets to that, please stick around and watch the ladies, show them your support. And if you've paid to watch it on Spurs TV, again, you get to watch that game as well. So if you've got any daughters that you're trying to get interested in football, there's your starting point. Get them in there, get them watching, make them proper Spurs fans. So yeah, that'll be there. So that's a 2 p.m. kickoff for the men's, followed by the women's at 4:45. I think there's still tickets available for those, so get stuck in. And remember, £5 from each of those tickets will be donated to charity. Okay, so that'll be split between the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation charities as well as Mind. Okay, yeah. So lastly, the thing we've got to talk about is Harry Kane. Obviously, he hadn't been training with the club, hadn't returned. They expected him back at the club on the Monday. There's been so much go about. The media just blew up about it all. Harry Kane has now made a statement, and it's not really one saying that he wants to stay at the club. It hasn't reassured fans, really. He's just basically come out and said he's never said at any point he's refusing to train with the club. He doesn't want to tarnish his relationship with the fans, but he's disappointed that so many fans have come out and essentially criticised him and bad-mouthed him. Look, which is understandable, but the problem is with these scenarios, fans are always going to jump to conclusions. We do, because we feel hurt by these things. Obviously, the media are the first thing we hear. And what we really need is statements from the clubs and players to come out quicker. It's taken Harry Kane 5 days, 6 days to come out and say his piece. Like, if they just told us in the beginning there's no conclusions to jump to. Look, he probably hasn't refused to train, but what would have happened is he's obviously had his holiday in wherever it was, Bahamas or whatever, and then there was reports that he stopped off in Florida on the way back. And everyone was going, oh, he's self-isolating. But what we need to remember is the players were actually told that when they come back from holiday, they are to isolate at the club. So at Spurs Lodge, obviously they've got rooms that they can stay in, a lot of them do. So he could have isolated there for 5 days. They've got their own private pitches out the back so they can keep themselves in shape whilst they're isolating. So there's no reason he shouldn't have done that. Look, essentially, he's not refusing to train, but Daniel Levy has obviously rattled some feathers with this so-called gentleman's agreement. And there's that saying, it's only as good as the paper it's written on, because it's not written on paper. So it's worth diddly squat. But obviously, if somebody comes in for a massive bid for him, we'll let him go. Which leads on to Pep Guardiola. Obviously, he's had an interview and he worded things a bit differently to what you'd normally expect. Managers would normally say he's not our player, so we're not going to talk about him. But yes, I can see why people would want to sign him because he's a world-class player. What he's actually turned around and said is there'll be many teams that want to try to sign Harry Kane, including us. So they want to try. It's not that I would love a player like Harry Kane. It's we would want to try. So there's the indication. Manchester City are obviously going to be in talks. There was reports that they were going to be putting in a 130 million bid. We do know now that Jack Grealish has gone to Manchester City for 100 million, which is what has made this an awkward situation, because if he's worth 100, then surely Harry Kane is worth 150, 160. There aren't really any players that they can offer us because they're not going to want to take the pay cut and come to Spurs without proper European football. And that's the stumbling block. I think if we were playing Champions League football, then we could probably entice a few of those players away, like Laporte. I don't think Raheem Sterling ever would have come, but maybe a John Stones, someone like that, or maybe one of their midfield players. So that's the scenario that we're in at the moment. So regards to Harry Kane, his expected back, I think it was today, he told us that he was going to be coming back, but that wouldn't be training straight away. He's got to do his blood work and his COVID testing. So he's been isolating in America, by the sounds of it. He stopped in Florida on the way back. Look, I don't really know what the international laws are at the moment with regards to isolating from what countries. I'm one of these people that's just gone with a staycation. And why not? We've got some beautiful locations in this country, so that's not really been my priority, and I haven't really been looking at like the amber list, the red list, things like that. So look, chances are he's a bit peed off, decided to extend his holiday. He hasn't refused to train. The club would have known full well that he was coming back from holiday late. These things happen in football. It happens every season. It's not that he's refusing, but he's a bit ticked off, and he probably wanted some time to think about things, a little bit more time with his family, because he's had a bit of a strange season, and obviously, lost the final of the Euros as well. And after we've lost the final under Ryan Mason, we've lost the Champions League final. These things are going to hurt, and they kind of collate. So look, I understand Harry Kane's hurting. I understand he's frustrated. But there would have been contact with the club to let him know. So I understand his disappointment, But at the same time, you have a mouth, you have the ability to talk, as to the club. So the PR team at the club should come out and make their statement and say we were fully aware that he was coming back from holiday late, and he should have come out himself and said that he was going to be coming back late because he needed an extended break. We're human. Sometimes we need more time off work. That's the way it is. But yeah, massive news. Obviously, Romero in through the door. Oh yeah, those of you that I asked to name the dead cat, which we're not using today, because I'm in a much quieter location, so I've just gone with the normal cover there. Still working through the list of names. We'll come up with one by the next video. And remember in the video I told you that my girlfriend was off to do her TAP exam. She finally got the results in from that. So thank you to those of you that wished her well. She actually got a distinction, which is the highest mark you can get. So she's buzzing, and we're actually off out to a friend's party now for their birthday. So she's going to have a drink and celebrate, and I am designated driver. So yeah, fun night for me in store, no doubt. But excellent news. I'm so happy to have Dawes back at the club, partnered up with Ledley King. I don't care what capacity it's in. I'm just glad to have him back. Brilliant partnership. He's a great character. Romero, obviously, massive signing. Bryan Gil today has been playing in the Olympic finals, Spain versus Brazil. I know they were losing 2-1 at one point. I haven't actually had a chance to look because I've been looking after my little niece, who is not even 2 years old yet. So we were there from 6:30 this morning looking after her, which has been a fun morning. We've been out in the rain, splashing in the puddles and all that. So I haven't really had a chance to look, but I saw comments on Facebook, people saying that he was playing very well and looks a good player. So that in itself is good as well. So Romero, beast. Dawson's put a smile on our face. Hill, looking good. Harry Kane back today. Obviously won't be playing that first game against Man City, and I think that's the reason for the extension there, to not cause too much drama. And then Tomiyasu obviously has been at the Olympics. He's a player we're still heavily linked with. It went quiet for a bit, but we'll see what materialises now the final of the men's football is being played today. Hopefully we can get that one over the line, get a few players out the door, Sissoko, Aurier. Tanguy Ndombele as well. Apparently there's reports that he's a bit disgruntled and feeling uncomfortable at the club because obviously we're trying to get Sissoko and Aurier out the door. And if you would have seen during lockdown, Sissoko was massively helpful with him, trying to teach him English and help him get settled in, and so was Aurier. They've done a few videos together. They spend a lot of time together, very good friends. Ndombele's a bit of a shy guy, very laid back, and something like that would unsettle him. I think he would feel alienated at the club. So I can understand him maybe wanting to leave, but Spurs aren't ready to give up on him yet, and I'm certainly not. There's a fantastic player in there, but I think he's more of a sensitive guy than we give him credit for, and there's no shame in being a more sensitive human being. It's hard for some of these young guys. They were, had pretty hard upbringings, and they kind of had to spend their lives away from their families, working hard towards their goals. So hopefully we can sort something out and put an arm over his shoulder. Hopefully Lloris will have a word with him and say to him, look, stick around. You're loved by the fans at the club, and everybody here wants you to stay. Other than that, Skippy is being looked at by several clubs now for a loan. Newcastle and indeed Norwich. They are still looking at him despite bringing Billy Gilmore in. So hopefully more on that soon. But that's your update for today. The Bryan Gil video is coming. Obviously I was waiting for the final of the Olympics so we get a proper look at him, so that detailed video will be coming soon. So that's your update for today. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like and comment as always, and I will get back to you. And remember, stay safe and come on you Spurs.